Hi everybody. I think we are live. How's it going? Just gonna give it a few minutes. Welcome to SEO Office Hours, where I answer everyone's Q&As or FAQs about SEO. And today we have a special topic. We're going to be talking all about keyword research. So let me just wait a couple minutes. I took the month of April off of SEO Office Hours, so haven't been here since March. Hopefully I'm not a little rusty. Keyword research is a very talked about part of SEO. I think it is something that is made intentionally confusing by a lot of SEOs out there because they don't want you to really understand that it's something quite simple. But yeah, let's get started. Okay, so keyword research. What is it? So essentially, keyword research is not this like super like high tech, elusive thing. It literally just is what are your demographic, what is your demographic and your ideal customer searching that they would then end up on your site, like that you would want them to end up on your site. So it's just as simple as, I do SEO. So it might be, my homepage keyword research would be someone searching SEO services, or SEO help near me, So it's literally just as simple as brainstorming like that, but then it's taking it a step further and actually looking at some of these tools and seeing, is that what people are actually searching, or is that just something I assume they're searching? A lot of business owners, when I start working with them, will say, like, I'm pretty sure this is what people are searching when they're looking for what I offer. And then, I'll take those keywords, I'll put them into Google, I'll put them into, SEMrush and stuff like that. And it actually turns out that like no one is searching that term. So it's actually like worded slightly differently. So you have to think about how keyword research allows us to think about like the way that users are wording their searches. And Google is an old company at this point, so they've gotten a lot smarter. It used to be very like, if I searched SEO service, it would show me results for SEO service. But if your page said SEO services, like that's not the same keyword because it's not the same word, services versus service. It used to be very, apples to apples, but now it's more semantic, it's smarter. So like you could say SEO services, or you could search SEO, can't think of another word for services, but something like very similar. And Google's now smart enough to be like, oh, that could also be served this page that talks about something very similar to that keyword. So all that to say, kind of take it all with a grain of salt, and you don't need to be super like matchy across your site. Like my keyword is dog sitting. I can't ever say dog watching, like you can be a little bit more flexible these days. Awesome. Well, with all that said, let's get into sharing our screen. So I'm actually going to start a little differently, and I'm actually going to start kind of where we left off at the last office hours. I'll share my window. Yep, I'm sharing this window. I'm going to move you guys over here. So last time we talked about Google Search Console and how to use it for indexing your site and using it as a tool to kind of talk to Google when you make changes on your site or you add a new page. You can kind of come in here and tell Google, like, hey, go look at this page I just created. But what we ran out of time for was kind of one of the biggest reasons to use it, which is the performance report over here on the left. And so obviously you have Google Analytics on your site, hopefully. And if you don't, go do that right now. But if you have Google Analytics on your site, which will tell you, oh, this page decreased in traffic. There were less users month over month this month. But with Google Search Console, you can actually see a little bit more granularly into the actual queries that might have led to the decline in your traffic or the increase in your traffic. And that's what this performance report is all about. So a lot of times if a client, had a huge dip in traffic, obviously I'll notice it. I'll draw attention to it. But then I kind of want to know, like, well, I wonder what led to that. And that's when I'll come into Google Search Console and kind of take a pretty deep look at it. And this is a free report. So it's like later on, I'm going to show you SEMrush, but SEMrush is very expensive. So this is something you can actually use for free. And it's an awesome tool. So anyways, with all that said, let's move on. So I just want to go over the performance report itself, and then we can go into the queries a little more. But yeah, so you can see this is showing us the last 3 months of data for this website. And like I explained in the last video, Google Search Console is different than Analytics. Analytics shows you actual traffic on your site. So what users do, once they land on the site and how many people land on the site. Search Console is a little different. It actually is showing you the data from the actual search engine. So this is the data that happens on Google, not so much your site. And that's why, you might see a difference of clicks versus the sessions in Google Analytics. Google Analytics will show you all organic sources. This is just Google. But also they're just tracked a little differently. So so in this report, we can kind of see, I like to isolate each metric so you can look at it. It gets a little crazy when you have them all turned on. But yeah, you can kind of see, like, over the last 3 months, there was a increase on this day. In general, it's kind of hard to tell, but you can kind of see, like, the trend for, like, this month. You're hitting above this peak more so than you were in February. But if you're, like, still confused, like, is traffic increasing? I don't understand. There's lots of comparison reports you can do. So this is how you can choose the date range. So you can look at the last 6 months, 12 months, 16 months, or you can choose, like, a very custom date, like, just April or just February and April. But then you can also do compare. So you can do compare last 3 months to the previous period, or compare last 3 months year over year, or just a custom dates. So if you wanted to do, like, like just this, like, for instance, let's look at April. So you do the start date, you do the end date, and then we want to see it versus last year. So we're in 2024, and let's go to April, and then let's do 2024 and to the end of April, and then hit OK. And yeah, as you can see, so the solid line is 2025, the dotted line is 2024. But yeah, as you can see, like, well, just in this little box, 67 versus 25. So that's a huge increase. And yeah, you can kind of just tell, like, the solid line is, higher up than the dashed line. And then that's clicks. So that's people who literally clicked on the website from Search Console. Or not Search Console, from Google. And then impressions is how many people are seeing the site in the search results. So this kind of tells you a couple things. It tells you how often you're showing up in the search results, and how often people are seeing that. But it can kind of also tell you, like, sometimes it might literally just be people are searching that query less, and you're not showing up for that reason too. So it's kind of a little confusing. Sometimes you have to kind of do a little thinking about it. But yeah, once again, 10,000 versus 4,000, we're doing well. and then average position. I talked about this last time. Average position is kind of misleading because this is across all the keywords you rank for. So I talked about this last time. Like sometimes your average position might go up, but it's because you're like showing up for more keywords. So like you may have had a better average position in 2024, but that was because you were ranking for 10 keywords and they were all branded keywords. So you were ranking number one. You know what I mean? But in 2025, you're ranking for thousands of really different keywords and, you know, you're just started ranking. So maybe you're ranking number 50 or something. So average position, I like to look at it by a keyword by keyword basis. And like I said last time, I like to look at how many queries you're ranking for. So like, for instance, you could look at, I guess we could do that right now just for funsies. Like, let's look at just this month. She's ranking for 388 keywords. Whereas let's look at last year. So 388, that's what it was. 388. Let's keep that in. Sometimes my memory is not great. 388. And then let's look at last year. Let's just see how many keywords she was even ranking for last year. I think it'll show us this. 92. So yeah, it's like, well, first of all, her average position increased and she's ranking for more keywords. But like, you know, this is just showing like if that average position had gotten worse, it's like, oh, well, she's ranking for, you know, like 300 more keywords. So yeah, maybe it's like harder to rank for these 300 keywords she's also showing up for now. So yeah, it's really cool to see, like, hopefully you're showing up for more and more queries each year. Or each month, each year. And you can see that in Google Search Console. So yeah, let's do the comparison again. I was like, maybe it'll just remember. I get like very sick of doing this. Okay, April. Give me 1 second. April to April. Okay. Back to the comparison. But yeah, so then to take this further, like I like to look at all three usually. Click-through rate, I don't really look at. I mean, but it is good to know, like, okay, so she's showing up 10,000 times, but she's only getting 67 clicks. Like, that's a little, you know, weird. So just, you know, like I said last time, that kind of tells us, like, should we look at her page titles, you know, like look at coaching near me. And I spelled it wrong. Like maybe like you're showing up, you have all these impressions, but nobody wants to click on your page because, you know, they don't like your page title. They don't like your description. Something else to really consider these days, guys, is AI. It's, you know, the big talked about thing. I'm seeing a lot of impressions are going up and clicks are going down. And I hate to say that as an SEO, but it is happening. So I hate to use it as a cop-out with some clients, but sometimes I will look at, like, say I see a keyword that their positioning improved, their impressions improved, but their clicks went down. It's like, well, what's going on there? I will then take that keyword. Let's just take this as an example. I'll take the keyword, put it in Google, and this is not a good example. But coaching near me is a good one. So say like that happened with this keyword. I would put this into Google and see what comes up. Sometimes like the best way to figure something out is literally just to put something in Google and see what happens. So this has an AI overview. Say this is a good example. One of my clients, you know, they have a product and it's cost money. So like, let's pretend they're Auntie-Anne's. Auntie-Anne's pricing. Oh my gosh, this is not a good example either. Oops. Or how much does It's happening a lot more. AI overview, just so you know. AI overview is happening a lot. Not happening a lot more with informational queries. E-commerce is still, pretty much avoiding it. But yeah, a lot of informational queries are getting hit. I'm really surprised it didn't show up for this. How much does Rita's cost? Oh, perfect. So say Rita's is my client. They're not my client, but my client's kind of similar. How much does Rita's cost? They might have a pricing page, Rita's, that used to get all this traffic last year. Like tons and tons of clicks. And then this year, their page is still ranking number 1 or number 2. It's still being searched a ton. So impressions are still, increasing. But the clicks are really down. Like, what's happening? Like, we're not ranking worse. It's not that people aren't searching for it. The reason I've determined for this keyword for my client is like they're getting their answer right here. Like they don't need to go to your pricing page. They don't need to see what you say is the pricing. So like why would they go to your pricing page? Even though a lot of times the AI will have it as the little source over here, they don't need to go to your website because it's saying it right here. So all that to say, like search engines are changing. So you have to give yourself a little bit of a break and be like, oh, that's why, they're not clicking on it. It's also something to think about is you want to keep feeding your website with information though, because what if this was wrong? What if this AI overview, like for my client, for instance, they don't have a pricing page on their website. They kind of want you to contact them for pricing, which in the old days was fine. Like people would do that. But now AI is answering that question. So the fact that they aren't answering the question on their website means that AI is just looking across the internet to find this answer. And what they're currently using is a Facebook page, a Facebook post somebody posted. Like they were using my client for a party, so they kind of knew the pricing. So they were like, average price is $6, an item or whatever. And AI is pulling that as the pricing. And so I have to check with them, is that pricing even correct? Because if not, like that's what people are seeing because you haven't given AI your actual pricing. It's going to look around the web and answer that question. So yeah, it kind of gives us an opportunity. Like I said during one of the previous office hours, like it's not terrible if you are featured in AI overviews. Like you want to be featured because it is changing the search engine. Like we got to work with it. So you want to be featured, especially if it's coming up for one of your top queries. So yeah, my strategy for that client is going to be, maybe we should create some content around this keyword because you want your data showing up, not some third-party data. So that was a bit of a sidetrack, but just know AI is a thing. Always when you find a query, when you find a keyword, put it into Google and see what comes up. See if AI is coming up. That might make you think, maybe I don't want to go for that one because AI is kind of monopolizing it. Or it's like, well, I could write content for that and maybe AI would pull my content. But yeah, so all that to say, sometimes, yeah, when I see like traffic has increased, traffic has decreased, what I like to do is I'll do the comparison. And then what I'll do is I'll hit clicks difference. So in this case, her traffic increased year over year. Usually when I'm, sometimes I'll look at the good stuff like, oh, why did my traffic increase? A lot of times I'm diagnosing like, why did traffic decrease? Because that's when, people start asking questions. So for this, since it increased, it's like, well, let's see why that happened. For her, like, she started getting a lot more clicks for this keyword and a lot more impressions. Interestingly enough, or no. So this is interesting. So one thing to know is zero. Zero kind of messes things up a bit. It says her, this is also kind of weird. Usually, you see a negative, you're like, that's bad. And then for clicks and impressions, it is bad. But for position difference, you got to think search engines. You want to see a negative there because, like for this instance, she was on 16. She's ranking 16 last year. She's now 6. So that's why we have this negative 10. So we actually want to see negative 10, not plus 10. Because if it was 10, then it would be the opposite. She was ranking 6, now she's 16. That's terrible. So Yeah, first thought I was like, that's weird. She's getting more clicks, but her position fell almost 3 spots. No, no, no. What actually happened is 0. So 0 means she wasn't ranking at all. It's kind of weird because really it's like, what? You would think this would actually say like NA or 100 plus or something to show like she's not even on the top 5 pages. But no, 0 means she wasn't ranking at all. So now she's ranking 2.7. So that's an average across, where people are. Yeah, like all sorts of things. So that's why she's getting more clicks because now she wasn't ranking for last year. Now she's ranking, 2 or 3. So that shows like, oh, that page we created around this keyword did really well. It's a good thing we created it. Branded queries, professional networking coach. Okay, so the clicks difference is now at 0. So let's instead flip this. Did she do it worse with any clicks? And yes, she did. So her small business coaching packages keyword did worse this year. Okay, and this is kind of weird because the position actually improved. So she was ranking 51. Now she's ranking 19. But look at this. The impression difference is negative 19. So what that kind of tells me is people are searching for that less this year. Maybe. I mean, you can never diagnose anything 100%. But, her position improved. Her position improved, but the impressions were down. So it kind of tells me, people might have been searching that keyword less this year. So impressions were down, and that's why clicks were down. Alternatively, like maybe people this year don't feel like going on to the 19th position, but also like I said, did I already do this? I feel like I already looked at this keyword. No, I didn't. Let's look. Okay, so no AI overview. I was going to say, what if it's AI overview? Something else that I feel like has happened, I'd have to look up when this happened, but I don't know if you guys were aware, but at some point, like in the last few years, there was the endless scroll. So Google had an endless scroll. And, it kind of made it seem like, oh, there's infinite results. I'm not sure when that went back to the pages down here, like when this came back, but definitely like in 2023, maybe 2024, there was an endless scroll. So that could kind of impact, I'm less inclined to hit next. But when there was the endless scroll, I felt like, oh, it's okay. I'll just keep scrolling. That's a little theory I just came up with. But yeah, anyways, that's how I use it to diagnose. Yeah, like clicks improved, clicks decreased. Like, let's see what query led to that. And then when you'll know, this goes to that page. Oh, but one last thing. You can also look at the pages specifically. So you can already see what pages have increased or decreased within Google Analytics. So you kind of will already know, like, yes, I'm aware that these pages increased the most. And then you can flip it. I'm aware that these pages decreased the most. But the cool thing about this is you can kind of see, first what I like to do is I look at, so say these pages decreased, you can look at like the position difference, and this is the average across all the keywords it ranks for. So what I like to look at is like, so these two pages, the position difference across all the keywords actually got better. So for these ones, it's like, I'm not as worried. But for business coaching, you can see the average position actually fell 32 positions. And so that's something like, oh, okay, let's look into that. Same with the events page, these ones, I would look into these potentially because it's like, wow, the average keyword for all these pages like kind of did worse this year. But what I'll also do is specifically, like if I know this page did badly, I'll click into it, which this is a bad example because what this page is actually not a page. This is a UTM that I add to all my clients' Google business profiles. So this is just saying that less people came from her Google business profile this year. So anyways, let's do this instead. So small business coaching, we know that page did worse. So what you can actually do is click on it and you can literally see the queries that for that page did worse. So I'm still on average position. So let's do clicks and impressions. So yeah, you can see like, which we already did this on the main page, but like say, there was more data here. You could see like, oh, so the reason this page did worse was because of this keyword. Like, let's look into this keyword. And sometimes it'll be like you change something on that page between then and now. Say you totally revamped the page and you literally took this keyword off the page. Like any instance of this keyword, you were like, oh, I'm going to change that to tiny business coaching. It's not stupid, but you took it off and it's like, oh, that totally led to this decrease in traffic because this keyword now fell a bunch of positions. This is all not true though, because this keyword I did better. But yes, long story short, that is how I will use the performance report to diagnose issues or see why something is doing better. It's really, really cool. And you have 16 months of data in here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. One last thing, you can always use this filter here. So yeah, if you wanted to see all the queries about, maybe you just did a page about, for her, like networking. Maybe you want to see how all the queries that have the word network did. So search network. Obviously network is in her business name, so it's a little different, but yeah, you could see, you can look at average position too. You could see, this year compared to, actually now we're just looking at the last 3 months, but you could see in the last 3 months, like how many clicks did, keywords with networking get you, or what was the average position. So yeah, it's just cool to see each query. Because yeah, like maybe you just added this page about business books and you want to see like, am I starting to rank for some of these business book keywords? You could do it that way. And then the other filters are really cool. Like say okay, this is a good question. Okay, this is a good thing I will say right now. We're switching to keyword research now, I promise. So let's talk about how I use Search Console for keyword research. So sometimes I will just come in here willy-nilly and just look at some of the keywords or queries, because the difference between keywords and queries is like these are like literal things that users are searching that she is naturally showing up for. So these were literal things that people searched and then, she got an impression for or a click for. So sometimes, yeah, I'll literally just come in here and do some like keyword mining. So look through here and see what is she showing up for naturally. And so I'll look through and just kind of, see if there's anything in here that I haven't, created a page for or included on the site at all, but that she's naturally already showing up for. So business coaching and consulting services. Like I know for a fact we've never used that. We don't usually use consulting much. So that's interesting. Like she's getting, it's annoying because you have to scroll back up to see what it is. She's getting impressions for that. 262 impressions, and she's ranking 91 naturally for that over the last 3 months. So yeah, it's like why we could, consider using the word consulting more or adding that to more of our pages since we're already naturally showing up. We talked about this last month when I used this as an example, but building genuine connections coaching. That's interesting. We don't talk about that at all. And, she's getting 140 impressions and she's ranking 79 for that. So yeah, is that like a service she could offer? Is that something she could add to one of her offerings? Like I help people build genuine connections. So yeah, this is just a really cool way. And then, like I said, if you want to add a filter, like maybe you are thinking of optimizing the page about small businesses and you don't know what keywords to go for, you could search small business and see like, oh, these are some keywords I could potentially go after. One thing I'll say about this is you want to get your Search Console, just like analytics, you want to get your Search Console set up as soon as possible because it takes a while to start generating all this data. So like you could see like last year she ranked for 99 keywords. This year she's ranking for 388. So it takes some time to generate data. It takes some time, for if it's a new website, it's going to take some time for you to even start ranking for any queries naturally. But yeah, get this set up so that you can start seeing right off the bat what you're ranking for. And go back to last month and look at, how this tool can help you actually start getting discovered on Google. So that's one way. Another thing that I've been really using it for lately, which I never used to use it for, and I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt for that. But so let's not use my website. Let's just go to her website. Let's see. We have never optimized, some of these business book challenge pages. But say my strategy this month is to start optimizing these. One that I'm going to choose because I know it's kind of ranking naturally already is this building a story brand book. So I'll copy this page. So yeah, say I'm about to go optimize this and I'm about to choose keywords for this. And especially because you guys, a lot of you don't have SEMrush or any sort of paid research tool. You don't want to work harder instead of smarter. So what you want to do is, like I said, see if this page is already ranking for something naturally. So take the URL, go into Search Console. What I'll do is usually I'll do the last 16 months because I want to see as much data as possible. The last 3 months, it's kind of small. So let's look at 16 months. Add a filter, add a page, and let's put that page to see. Oh, I think I pasted it twice. See if it's ranking already for stuff, which I have a feeling it is. Yeah. So look at all the stuff it's already ranking for. 95 keywords, and we've never optimized this page. Not getting any clicks, which is that's not exactly true because I know that this page is getting some traffic. So like I said, GA4 traffic and Search Console traffic will be a little different. There's just some discrepancies there. So, but we can see impressions and positions. So let's sort by impressions, which it already is. And building a story brand is obviously the one that's getting the most impressions. It's ranking 59 overall across all the times people have searched this. So that's a pretty good one. Story brand coaching. So this is interesting. If, that kind of tells me, she doesn't really do story brand coaching. And so this is more so, you got to think of search intent. So this is more so talking about a book review of this book. So story brand coaching is a good keyword because people might be searching that and looking for more information, and they can come here and see her review of a book that's about that. But story brand coaching, they might, let's see. So that's the thing. Going back. So what I like to do always if I'm selecting a keyword is I will put it into Google, like I said, and see what comes up. It's best to do this in an incognito window, but I'll just do it here. So yeah, story brand coaching, it's mostly showing obviously the story brand website. Yeah, so as you can see, it's mostly for becoming a story brand coach or working with a story brand coach. Yeah, hire a story brand coach. So we can target that keyword, but it's not so much showing book reviews about story brand coaching, if that makes sense. So you want to set your expectations correctly. So like I said, we can target this keyword. We can throw these words all over the page, but if it does randomly somehow start ranking high for that, people will click on this, see that your page isn't really meeting their intent, and bounce right off. So is that really that's why sometimes like rankings are a bit of a vanity metric, they call it, because, okay, you're ranking number 2, but when people click on your website, they're immediately pissed because it's not what they want. And so they leave, which kind of tells Google, like, this website's kind of lying, or this website is not meeting my intent. And so that can kind of hurt you after a while. But yeah, so always look at the intent. I would say this keyword is a little bit off. But sometimes you can use it as like a base. So maybe it's like book about story brand coaching or something like that. Building a story brand is a bit of a better keyword because that's literally part of the book, like building a story brand. Donald Miller story brand. So that's the guy who wrote the book. So like we could make the page title Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, overview, or the framework, like building a story brand framework. And that also kind of can tell us, like, say she kind of did like a really brief overview of this book. So she says, she kind of goes into the steps to do the framework. But yeah, like if this kind of tells us what people are searching. So yeah, she kind of goes over the framework. So she doesn't really have to expand on that. But example for executive coach. So she already has some there, examples of the story brand framework. Or like how to build a story brand. Do I need a story brand workshop? So she could add a section to this that says, like, do I think people need this? So yeah, it kind of tells you, what to target with a page you've already written, but also like maybe story brand productivity schedule. Like, should I add sections to this page that meet these queries? So just really cool for content generation. Really cool to just, like I said, work smarter, not harder. So like instead of choosing instead of going to some tool and I think people are searching this for this page, people are already searching this because you're already showing up. So go with these instead of these random new queries. Unless there's like a query that, gets a lot of searches, is not that difficult. Anything fits the page better that for some reason you're not showing up for. You can always go after that too. But I like to start with like, what are we already ranking for? Yeah, so that's kind of how I use Search Console. Trying to think what else. A lot of times, like a lot of you don't have SEMrush, so this next part's kind of, that's why I was hoping people would come and ask me to look stuff up. But if you do have SEMrush, or I'll put in the chat, there are so many other tools. So I will put in the chat. These are some of the other tools. Like I said, a lot of times there's lots of free trials of these. So you can get like, 7 searches a day, or I don't know, 20 searches a month or something like that. So what you could do is once you see that you're showing up for something, like I said, put it in Google, see what shows up. But you could also come into SEMrush, use your little free trial. I don't know, pay for it for a month. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But like you can look at the data for that keyword. So like, yes, you might be showing up for it a bunch. Yes, you might already be ranking for it. But is it really searched all that much? I mean, this is 302 over 16 months, so over a year. So let's see, like, how much is that actually being searched? And sometimes what I'll do is I'll export this. So you can always export all this stuff, which is awesome. Export, and you can even export as right into Google Sheets, which is what I use. And with SEMrush, it's cool, which obviously you guys might not have access to, but you can literally highlight all these and put them into SEMrush and look at them all at once. So yeah, this is a great keyword. So like it's searched 480 times a month, and it's got 34% difficulty. So it's not that difficult. Obviously like an 8 is better. And so we're talking about keyword research. I wanted to say like what I would do if I was, going to optimize this page. So what I'll do is once I start finding keywords I like, I'll start putting them in a spreadsheet. And so I'll usually do something like keyword volume, difficulty. I like to make it pretty. And then, yeah, so we'll put it here. And then I'll just like sometimes I'll export, put it in here, 480, 34. And then, yeah, like it's good to choose this as a seed keyword and then look at like other ones that pop up. So how to build a story brand, Donald Miller, that's the guy's name, like we said. So that gets 20. If it doesn't have a difficulty because it's not searched enough, I'll just put 0. Donald Miller, building a story brand. So just like, this is what I'll do. I'll just show you just a little bit more. I'll just kind of start getting all this data together. If this is going to be my spreadsheet for my whole site, I'll add like a category here, and then I'll put like story brand. So once there's like a million keywords in here, I can sort by like, oh, this was for just that page or just that topic. And yeah, like I said, if you have the free trial, you can just, get like 6 keywords. You get to search it 6 times. So like, it won't show you all this. It'll show you like 5 of these, I think. But you're basically just using this to see if what is showing in Search Console is actually searched and to see if it gives you other ideas based on those. So yeah, like that framework keyword we talked about. You can always sort it by volume or difficulty. So like this one's like slightly different than Donald Miller building a story brand. So it's funny to see stuff like that. So this is 70. I mean, it's searched a little less, but the difficulty is lower. So, but like I said, Google is smart. So like if you really target this keyword, you're probably going to rank for this keyword too. So, but if I was going to write a page title, I would probably word it in this order just because it seems less difficult. That's how I would use that information. But yeah, so like I said, you just kind of come in here, you look at what else is showing up. You look at, oops, that's not what I usually do. Go back here. It's a little slow. But yeah, and you can keep going through these and just pulling these and looking. Another way to use keywords is, so say we did like this keyword. The only thing about this keyword that's probably not great is, like, let's search it. Yeah, it's kind of more of like an e-commerce intent. So, there's the book. This is the Amazon page. Reddit's ranking for a lot now. So just consider that. Maybe get into commenting on Reddit if you're brave enough. So yeah, this is more of like an e-commerce kind of keyword. So that's why I always say don't only go after highly searched keywords. Oh my. I have gotten far off. So let's look at this again. Building a story brand. That is why I'll look at like the longer tail keywords. So, a lot of times I'll look at the questions. Let's see. Sorry, it's so slow. I'll search maybe like review. I don't know. No. Oh, wait. Yeah, book review. Perfect. Sorry, it's just so slow it didn't show up, but it was there. Review. Okay, so it's only searched 20 times. Doesn't have any difficulty because there's not enough data. But that is a much better keyword. Like I said, we can still track the other ones like building a story brand, Donald Miller. But we just have to know it's not exactly the right intent. So like maybe we'll rank for it and that's great. But I'd much rather rank for something like this, which is something like is actually what people want is what I'm writing. So we can also just see, like, are we ranking for anything that has review? No. So interesting. We're not. So that kind of tells me that it's because we're not targeting that word at all. She calls it, in this blog we'll dive into it. So yeah, she doesn't ever, I bet she doesn't even say the word review. Does she say the word overview? Overview. Because that's another word. Is that a word that people, let's see, what else? Review. Building story brand review. Book review, building a story brand. That's also a good one. You could do like page title, book review, building a story brand. Overview. Nope. Which, I mean, this is only showing page 1 and page 2. So maybe on the second page. Tips, business tips. That could be a good one. Building a story brand. I mean, let's see. Overview. I think, like I said, framework could be good. Book framework. Oh, nope. Let's see what happens when we do a review. Book review. So those ones are the same. Let's do the framework one. Because she is ranking framework. 57. That. Yeah, so 36. Let's just see. 7-part framework. That's a great one because she literally goes over the 7 parts right here. So that might be like what I do, like building a story brand review. Well, I'll show you what I'll do. Let's look at what happens when you Google this. Yeah, the story brand framework, a complete step-by-step guide. Thoughts on storybook framework. So let's see what happens for 7-part. 7-part framework. It's a LinkedIn post. We could do better than a LinkedIn post. Your complete guide. So yeah, I would definitely take these ones. 50, 36. And then this one, 20. So this is what I'm showing is like, it's just a process of just like, what do I want to do? What do I want to target? What was I just about to do? Framework. Oh, I had an idea. Oh, a guide. Building a story brand guide. Okay, that's not search. Yeah, so that's so like I said, I would take a look at these. I would highlight the ones I really like, and then I would like write a page title. I would do this on a different tab, but it could be something like building a story brand book review 7-part framework overview, something like that. And then this is really giving you the secret sauce, but I will do like you do E equals LEN, and then you highlight I did it wrong. Equals LEN, length of a string, and then you click on the one you're writing. And yeah, this is 60 characters. That's exactly what I want. So building a story brand book review, 7-part framework overview. I think that's a great page title. I love it. If I could have fit this man's name, maybe it would have been a little better, but that would be putting it over probably like more closer to 80. And then yeah, your meta description would be something like, in this blog we do an overview of the 7-part framework, blah, 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 and, review the book. So, yeah, and you'd write like 160 characters. So that's kind of it. That's what I would do. And you could totally do this with the free trials, just kind of seeing what shows up. Literally just from that one seed keyword is how I got here. I put the seed keyword in, and like I said, you could do this with your free trials. What else did I want to go over? Like I said, it was going to be more helpful if people told me to go after stuff, just because I don't want to go over SEMrush too much, because you guys aren't going to want to pay. I don't recommend paying the exorbitant costs unless you are an agency like me. It's great for competitor research, so you can put a competitor in here and see what they're ranking for. But what I was going to say is, if you don't have SEMrush for competitor research, what you could do is, well, I've never done this before, but I was just thinking about it. What you could do maybe is, also, let's see, building a story brand, 7-part framework. Like, say she really wanted to rank higher than this, and we hadn't done the keyword research yet, so we didn't know what we should target. Or just like say, trying to think of an example. Let's do like dog boarding near me. I always do like pet daycare as my example. So let's say that this was my competitor. I'm thinking like, what I could do is maybe like use ChatGPT for this. So let's do the ChatGPT, and let's say, please look at this competitor page content and tell me what keywords you think they're targeting with this content. Obviously, we know they're already showing up for dog boarding near me or whatever I just searched. But say you have a competitor and you think they're ranking higher than you for everything and you hate them. Yeah, like, so what maybe you could do instead of SEMrush, like what I would do is I would put their website into SEMrush and it would tell me everything they were ranking for. But maybe, like, what if I like highlight all this? I don't know. Highlight it all. Please look at this competitor page content. Tell me what computers. And what I would also probably do is say like page title. And to find a website's page title, I have a great extension called, I don't know what it's called, SEO Meta Inspector or something like that. So you can look in the Google extension store for that. But what you can also do is hit view, right click, view page source, and then Control F, title. Oops. Oh, it's all the way up there. So their title is literally just Puppy Paradise. So not optimized. So if this was my competitor, I would blow them all out of the water. Sorry if you are this business. And then their meta description, they probably don't even have one. So meta, to find the description, you can just search description. And yeah, they don't have a meta description. So, let's just get rid of this and then just say like content. But if they had like those things, that would help ChatGPT, I'm sure, figure out what they were targeting. I mean, you can do it yourself also. Like if their page title was like dog boarding Pennsylvania, like that's their keyword. Get it? Let's see what they say. I don't know. I've never really done this. Based on the content of this Puppy Paradise competitor page, they appear to be targeting a mix of a local SEO, pet care services, and franchise-related keywords. So here's a breakdown of the likely keyword targets. Dog boarding, that's literally what I just said. Dog boarding Pennsylvania, luxury dog boarding, pet boarding near me, dog daycare Pennsylvania, dog daycare services, pet daycare. So this is great. So yeah, if you don't have SEMrush, I recommend using this. My only word of warning is I do use ChatGPT sometimes for keyword research. I'll be like, I'm optimizing this page. What do you think we should target? It's usually the keywords it suggests are usually like, they're not connected to SEMrush. They don't know data. So they're not always searched. So, but this is your competitor and this is what it is targeting. Luxury dog boarding, that's a great one. Dog boarding Pennsylvania, dog daycare services, long-term pet boarding, like these are great. So you didn't even need a free keyword tool. So, but if I were you, I would also then use my little free tools and see like, are these actually searched? So what I will do, I have to always like go to the homepage of SEMrush for this. Go to the homepage. And like you won't be able to search all of these if you're using a free trial. They just updated SEMrush and I'm still getting used to it. But you'll be able to, you could check, like I said, 5 on SEMrush, 5 on Ahrefs, 5 on, what else did I put in here? SERPstat. Use your tools wisely, your free tools. I used to do that all the time before I had a subscription. And what I will do is I will copy all these keywords, the little ChatGPT thinks are keywords. And I will put them in SEMrush. I'll go in, I'll get rid of the little, they love their emojis, the stuff like this. And see, are any of these even keywords? Because I bet a lot of them are not. Okay, pet boarding near me. Crazy hard. Crazy hard. But, if you know your area, if you live in a random town, and your competitors, maybe there's only 2 of you, this isn't going to be that difficult. It's just saying overall for the United States, is pretty difficult, because that could be like in Philadelphia or New York City. Like obviously you would have a hard time. Also with near me keywords, like you can target them, but please don't throw all over your website. Pet boarding near me, like you look crazy. So I usually get pretty clever with it. I'll be like, looking for pet boarding near you? Maybe not. That's a little silly. But like, then we are the nearest pet boarding facilities to downtown XYZ. Like you can get the word near sometimes. Pet daycare, also difficult. But like I said, if you're the only one in your area, not super difficult. Luxury dog boarding is a great keyword. Like it's not super difficult. Obviously, if you're not luxury, don't call yourself luxury because that user experience, someone will get to your site, be like, they're not very luxury, and bounce right off. Dog boarding franchise, only applicable if you're a franchise. Affordable dog boarding, so if you're affordable, not luxury, that's a great keyword. 19,320. Day boarding for dogs. Dog boarding with private rooms, great keyword. Less searches, but if someone's searching for that, you want to show up. Indoor dog boarding, dog daycare services. So ChatGPT did a great job, Oops, I forgot to get rid of these ones. But like some of these really, really specific ones aren't searched, but there still could be good ideas like dog boarding with luxury suite, stress-free dog boarding. That's a great keyword. Even though it's not searched, it's very to the point. So if you have a competitor or someone doing something similar to you and you think maybe they've done some SEO, even if they haven't done some SEO, take their content, throw it in ChatGPT and be like, what are they targeting? But also you could, do what I do sometimes. Like I said, put your content in ChatGPT and be like, what should I target? And get some ideas from there. Just use it for ideas. And then, use these free trials. What else? But the thing I really want to like hammer home, I guess, let me stop sharing. The idea I really want to hammer home is, it's like I said, it's not rocket science. And at the end of the day, you know your business the best. So I always like ask people like, what do you do? Where do you do it? Those are your keywords. It's so many SEOs are like keyword research. You do dog boarding in northeastern Pennsylvania. Boom, that's your keyword. Like that's always my biggest thing is local. If you are local, please put where you are on your website. I had someone come to me the other day. They had like a med spa and nowhere on their website did it say where they were. And it's not like she can serve the whole country. No, she's only serving her area. But it's like you don't have your location anywhere on your website. How would Google know that's where you serve? How would users know that you're near them? So, don't forget the local part of SEO. Same with national. If you serve national, make sure to say that on your site. Like I serve clients from California to New York. I serve international clients, like tell people where you are offering these keywords. But yeah, that's my biggest piece of advice. And then you can use these tools to see, is that what they're searching? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe there's something very similar. Maybe it's not, like I said, dog boarding, but it's dog sitting. Um, but yeah, like I don't know how many times I have to say that. Like just put on your website what you do, and I'm sure you'll see the payoff within a month or two. Um, and then yeah, use these tools to, you know, improve even more. But yeah, once you've done a little bit, then you can look in Search Console and you're like, oh, just from optimizing that one page, now I see all these similar keywords. And that's when it's like, maybe I'll create a page around this luxury keyword and talk about why I am luxurious. Yeah. So I hope that was helpful. Sorry that nobody came to put in a keyword for me to look up, but if you ever want me to do some keyword research for you, just hit me up, or just send a message right now, and I can help out. I don't mind. So yeah, this is what I recommend doing for keyword research, and just getting started. But yeah, like I said, always set up GA4, always set up Google Search Console. Without data, you're kind of you don't know what you're doing. So, and these are free. So awesome. Well, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.